Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to week 5 of the Shuckle Premier League. My name is CBAD, coach of the Detroit Steelwings. We are taking on Numb Nexus and the Pittsburgh Pichus. I am so excited. I love Nexus. This is going to be, as I talk about the teams, you'll see there's some striking similarities between them, so I'm really excited for this matchup. If you guys are new, subscribe. We are on our way to 50,000 subscribers. You guys subscribe today. Everybody watching this, we're one step closer, and you get grade A content in your sub box. Also, if you like this type of content, leave a like. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. And yeah, go check out Nexus's stuff. Check out the links in the description for any of the SPL coaches that you guys are looking into. The fan server, the fan doc, all that fun stuff. Get plugged in because DLC 2 was recently announced. So you know, after season 1, usually there's a season 2. That's all I'm saying. So and stick around because I will be a part of 2 DLC 2 draft leagues. So if you guys like what's going on over here, subscribe. Coming off a little bit of a rough week. It's been on the back end of things. We've been playing a lot of catch up in the office, just getting caught up with editing and making sure our battles are on time. As I've stressed in the week 3 and 4 videos, I get very stressed over disrespecting other people's time and committing to a schedule and then not sticking with it. So it's been kind of a rush to get there. Thankfully, the day that I'm recording this, in about 4 or 5 days, I'll be caught up on everything in theory. So very excited for that. Very, very thankful for all the support on all the videos that have been going up. Coming off of a tough loss against Envy. I mean, he is undefeated, so I was not going to be the wager. I was not going to wager that I was the one to take down his crown. So we're good there. Definitely found some areas, you know, that I think it's funny just going back and editing those videos in hindsight, seeing the opportunities where I could improve, hopefully bringing that into this matchup and moving forward to come out with a good differential and a good win-loss ratio, because I believe as of right now, last I checked, there was some potential playoff contention with a top 8 of coaches going to playoffs. So who knows? We'll see. Either way, I'm excited. Appreciate you guys. There will be some text floating somewhere on screen in post-production if you guys want to jump right on ahead to the battle. I always recommend you guys watch this so you know what I'm bringing and why I'm bringing it. So 20 minutes into the battle, you have no idea what I'm bringing in. You start writing out an angry comment. Guess what? Right now in the Teambuilder, it made sense, dingus. So make sure you guys tune in for that. But if you are in a hurry, there's that timestamp. Yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in today. You guys are going to start to see some teams appear on screen right about now. My opponent's team, so very kind of similar to ours. Iron Valiant, Ogerpon Cornerstone, Mandibuzz, Alomomola, Hisuian Electrode, Hippowdon, Houndstone, King Gambit, Iron Moth, and Sandslash. Terra Captains are Hisuian Electrode, which can be an Electric, Fairy, or Ice type, and then Houndstone with a Ghost, Fairy, or Fighting type. Rockers are Hippowdon, King Gambit, and Sandslash. Spikers are Ogerpon and Sandslash. Only hazard removal is Rapid Spin on Sandslash, and then Defog on Mandibuzz, with some minor Cleric support with Wish Alomomola and Healing Wish Alomomola. So that is my opponent's team, and the reason I said there's some similarities that we both drafted a Future Paradox form first. We both drafted an Ogerpon form second, and we both drafted some very reliable hazard removal third. So I thought that was cool. We almost also had a similar sand theme. He drafted Hippowdon and Houndstone. The initial concept of this team prior to week 1 starting, I had actually had Tyranitar and a Alolan Dugtrio. So there was a little bit of, there was a lot of similarities between the two, if I'm being honest. So that and the King Gambit, we had Lucario early on, so the Fighting Dark and the Fighting Steel. Really, I mean, this is an anime clash up right here, and I'm about it. I'm about it. So looking forward to it. If I had to say 6 that he'd bring, so he's got to bring the Iron Valiant. I mean, that's Nexus's bread and butter recently with Gen 9 Draft League. Ogerpon Cornerstone could show up. It hits a lot of my team pretty well. Hippowdon probably needs to come solo, and Raichu doesn't do too much damage. Hisuian Electrode shows up because it's super effective against my Iron Bundle, and my Iron Bundle outspeeds his whole team except for Electrode. So I'm gonna write down my thoughts here as I talk about this. So Iron Valiant, Ogerpon I think would have to show up. I think both those mons just are really, really good. I think Electrode shows up. I think Hippowdon shows up. Now, with my ability to bring terrain and set and do things with speed and speed control and whatnot, so, or not speed control, but just being able to really put up a lot of speed, he may bring Sand Rush, Sandslash, or Houndstone. So I'm gonna say maybe a Sand Abuser there in either Slash or Stone. And then I think King Gambit just is always just hits really hard. So if I had to predict 6, Valiant, Ogerpon, Electrode, no question. I am locked in for those 3. Hippowdon, yes. Unless he brings like unless he forgoes Sand and just brings a very defensive Sand Slash, but I think Hippowdon shows up, so that's 4. Sand Slash or Houndstone, a Sand Abuser, will show up, and then King Gambit. Those are the 6 that I think he would bring. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and start talking about our team. First Pokemon that I am bringing today is going to be Iron Grandpa, the Iron Bundle. He is rocking his Shuckle Berry with the Quark Drive ability, Hydro Pump, Taunt, Flip Turn, and Freeze Dry. We have 252 EVs in Special Attack, 160 EVs in Special Defense, 96 in Speed with a Timid Nature. Now, this seems like a very odd set compared to previous sets that I've run. And I want to talk a little bit about that. So, recently, Iron Bundles become with like choice specs, like Life Orb, things along those natures, heavy duty boots. I really think that Iron Bundle, just like I do in every week, and I do mean it when I say this, I think Iron Bundle has the potential for a lot of pressure. There are very few Pokemon on Nexus's team that resist my dual stab. So being able to freely switch between those two is nice. Flip Turn is good for pivoting out. I do want to make sure that I don't fall into the trap that I did last week with MV, where I let hazards get up. So you'll see my plan for that, but I don't have boots on Bundle. So as a result of that, I want to make sure that I've got some hazard removal there. I've got multiple forms this week. But I want to be careful about that. Flip Turn in order for pivoting. Freeze Dry is just a great ice move in general. Bringing that over Ice Beam just to make sure I can hit the Alomomola. And then Taunt. So there could be some sort of a specially defensive Alomomola set that can Wish Pass. Being able to taunt something like a specially defensive Mandibuzz on an Iron Bundle, something along those lines. Being able to potentially outplay King Gambit on Sucker Punches and go for a taunt to prevent any sort of Swords Dances could be beneficial to us. Taunting Sand Slash or Hippowdon from going for hazards, from going for the recovery in any sort of form if possible. If we're feeling really cheeky, taunting the Ogerpon so it can't get spikes up. It does have Sturdy. I've got a plan for that as well. So that's kind of the game plan here. The Shuckle Berry is nice. So the 160 in Special Defense, we don't need all of that in Special Defense. It just didn't really fit too much elsewhere anywhere. I really anticipate Vacuum Wave on Iron Valiant to deal with the Iron Bundle. Maybe a Scarf set. If that's the case, I actually don't know. Let me pull up. If it is a... Always good to have these. Always good to talk about these calcs ahead of time. If it is... so with our Shuckle Berry, actually, if it is like a booster energy set, or if it does take advantage of our terrain, which we are bringing terrain, close combat does 69 to 82 to us with that Shuckle Berry. So provided we're still at full health, we can take a max attack close combat from Iron Valiant with that Shuckle Berry, but really it is there for the anticipated Vacuum Wave priority if it is a Assault Vest set like I've seen him bring, if it is maybe a Life Orb set, something along those lines. So that's going to be Iron Bundle. The next Pokemon that we are bringing is going to be Tummy Man the Donphan. He's rocking his heavy duty boots with the Sturdy ability. We have Rapid Spin, Knockoff, Earthquake, and Stealth Rock, 252 EVs in HP, 262 EVs in Defense, 40 in Speed with an Impish Nature. So what does that do for us? So with that, I wanted to bring heavy duty boots to make sure that our Sturdy stays intact. He has a lot of Pokemon that can hit us for really hard damage, and just a large amount of damage output in general from his team, that I want to make sure Donphan's Sturdy stays intact. He does not have any form of like Mold Breaker or anything like that to punch through our Sturdy. So we'll be able to get a Rapid Spin off, provided we don't spin into something with a Rocky Helmet that knocks us out, or spin into Houndstone. We are running as much HP and defense as possible, barring that speed. So the 40 EVs in speed means that if we are able to get a Rapid Spin off, we do then outspeed a Jolly King Gambit on the next turn after that speed boost. So that's really what that's there for, just in case, you know, he does bring in King Gambit afterwards, or we find ourselves spinning as King Gambit switches in, or something along those lines. We will be able to outspeed a Jolly one and go for an Earthquake there. As far as the rest of the moves go, Earthquake goes really unchecked by his team. Mandibuzz is immune. Ogerpon is neutral. Hippowdon is neutral. Other than that, like Earthquake just goes in really if it's not against Mandibuzz, and I don't know if Mandibuzz will show up this week. I don't know. I think if he brings Mandibuzz, he's forsaking one of his physical offense pressures really. So hopefully Mandibuzz doesn't show up and Earthquake goes crazy. And then Stealth Rocks, you know, Stealth Rocks do a lot of good damage for our opponent. I know Nexus does like to make some predictions from time to time that will cause him to switch, and I want to kind of punish those to the best of my ability, having that minimal removal between Sandslash and Mandibuzz. I want to be able to get rocks up. I want to be able to get spikes up. And I really want to help it so things like Iron Bundle, things like the rest of our team can help kind of sweep up late game. So that's going to be Donphan. Really a good defensive check for King Gambit, for physical Iron Valiant. Donphan, unfortunately, is going to get hurt by that Hisuian Electrode. So it's a Pokemon that we will have to play around. The idea there is that with our terrain, that Iron Bundle is able to then outspeed the Hisuian Electrode, but we will get to that as we discuss our terrain. Next Pokemon I'm bringing is the Bonk, Ogerpon Hearthflame. She's rocking her Hearthflame mask with the Mold Breaker ability. We have U-Turn, Ivy Cudgel, Power Whip, and Spikes. 252 EVs in attack, 4 in defense, 252 EVs in speed with a Jolly Nature. Really straightforward here. We're speed tying his Ogerpon Cornerstone and his Iron Moth. We outspeed everything outside of Iron Valiant, Hisuian Electrode, and the aforementioned speed type Pokemon. So really want to get Spikes up. I think Spikes could go a very long way in this matchup. And you'll see that I do have another Spiker as well as another Defogger too. So I really, and Defog really, I want to rely on the spin that Donphan can bring. If I do need to remove hazards, it will be by going for Defog, but I digress. We'll talk about that here in a bit. Ogerpon, so really Dual Stab kind of goes nuts against his team. U-Turn is great for the momentum. I want to be able to keep that up with the Flip Turn on Iron Bundle. I want to be able to U-Turn out with Ogerpon. Ivy Cudgel is great. Ivy Cudgel hits the Iron Valiant. Ivy Cudgel hits the Ogerpon for neutral. Ivy Cudgel hits Mandibuzz, hits Electrode, hits the Houndstone, hits the King Gambit. The only thing that we really don't want to take a hit that we want to like 1v1 is Iron Moth in that scenario. Power Whip is going neutral against the Ogerpon. It's hitting a Alomomola for super effective damage. Hippowdon, Sandslash, it's doing great damage there. We do get our 20% buff from the Hearthflame mask. So even if we do end up 1v1ing Iron Moth has a 60 base defense and we have 120 base attack on top of a 20 base power move boost on top of a high crit ratio move. So it's not the worst Pokemon to 1v1. We just don't carry the super effective coverage for it. I'm hoping that it doesn't run something like Boots and we can get some chip damage off on it, win a speed tie, outspeed a Modest Variant, and go from there. The next Pokemon we're bringing, really love how this Pokemon performed in week 3. Looking back on it, may have been a mistake leaving him on the bench for week 4. We are bringing Pancake Man, the Alolan Raichu. He is rocking the Poor Man's Life Orb, his Expert Belt with the Surge Surfer ability. We have Nasty Plot, Grass Knot, Thunderbolt, and Psyshock. 252 EVs in special attack, 4 in special defense, 252 in speed with a timid nature. We are running Terra Fairy this week without Terra Blast, and I want to talk about that a little bit. So initially, we could run Terra Grass as a little bit more of a defensive check for something along the lines of like Sandslash, for, being able to set up on a ground move in front of Sandslash, Hippowdon, something along those lines. Being able to resist maybe a water move from a Alomomola if it's going for a last-ditch effort or something like that. I know it's not a likely candidate, but just some of those scenarios there. I really wanted to bring the Fairy Terra because my opponent has priority in the form of Aqua Jet, Alomomola, Quick Attack, and Ogerpon. He's got a few Shadow Sneak users, but really what I expect him to bring is Sucker Punch on King Gambit and or Vacuum Wave on Iron Valiant. Running Terra Fairy gives us a defensive check to both of those. So that is why we're running Terra Fairy as opposed to like Terra Grass with Grass Knot to hit those grass types a little bit harder, or hit those ground types a little bit harder, excuse me. The Expert Belt actually boosting our Grass Knot to be able to hit at +2. We're OHKOing especially defensive Hippowdon, which is great. We're blowing backwards Sandslash, Thunderbolt taking care of Mandibuzz, taking care of Alomomola, things along those lines. So really just making sure that we do not, that we are not taking as much damage from those, because with the Vacuum Wave we'll certainly be able to take. We've got a higher special defense. Depending on when King Gambit comes in, if it is Supreme Overlord, which it probably will be, I want to make sure that we can do some just damage to that as well. So that's the game plan for Alolan Raichu. Inside of terrain, we are in a very similar boat of Ogerpon. We are speed tying Nexus's Ogerpon Cornerstone and the Iron Moth. Inside terrain, we're outspeeding everything below. And then inside of terrain, we outspeed everything. We're hitting 700 base speed. It would need to be like Booster Energy. I don't know if Booster Energy and Quark Drive can pop twice in our terrain, but that would be the only thing, if that's a thing that could outspeed us, is like a double speed Iron Valiant or something to that effect there. And so now, in order to set the terrain for both Raichu and for Iron Bundle, we are bringing Cheeky Man, the Pinkerton. He's rocking his Air Balloon with the Electric Surge ability. We have Spikes, Memento, Thunder Wave, and Surf. 252 EVs in HP, 252 in defense, 4 in special defense with a Bold Nature, Another spike setter here. Like I said, I do really want to go for hazards and get those hazards up in this case. Thunderwave is good for paralyzing things. Memento allows us great setup opportunity with something like Alolan Raichu, which is good, or just being able to maybe cripple something that may be a little bit out of control. We're able to get that off. And then the Surf is nice. If we find ourselves in front of a ground type and need to go for Surf, that's kind of the idea there. Setting up our terrain, they have to hit us some other way, so we can go for a Spike, we can go for a Surf to maybe get some chip damage if it's necessary and go from there. The Air Balloon is nice. I'm taking that tech straight from our week 1 match with Danny. He brought the Air Balloon Sandy Shocks and switched in on an Earthquake, and I was like, that's really cool. I want to do that, but I want to be able to set my terrain with doing that too. So if we predict like an Earthquake coming off from Hippowdon or Sand Slash or something to that effect, we just switch in Pinkerton, takes no damage. You know, they have to hit us with something else now in order to pop that balloon if they have it. Gives us potential to go for a Spike, maybe set up, go for a Memento, something there. Paralyze maybe something on the switch if they are running mono ground coverage and no way to pop our balloon. Or go for a Surf for some nice damage on either one of those ground types. Last Pokemon we are bringing, I changed this so very last minute because I really wanted to just hit hard. I didn't want to bring, and this is a full invitation to the comment section to tell me you shouldn't have changed your mind last minute. You should have stuck with your gun. You should have just went with your gut and gone for it, because originally this was going to be another terrain sweeper in Hawlucha. Hawlucha's terrain sweeping did great in week 3. This was originally going to be a terrain sweeper. I changed it last minute because I really like the idea. I'm hoping that I can bluff that it's a terrain sweeper, because with so Hawlucha, so we're bringing, let's get into the team. So we are bringing Birds on the Hawlucha. He's rocking his choice band with the mold breaker ability. We are rocking Defog, U-Turn, Close Combat, and Brave Bird. 16 EVs in HP, 252 in attack, 240 in speed with a Jolly Nature. I want to bluff that I'm an Unburdened set because our Mold Breaker goes through Ogerpon Cornerstone's Sturdy ability. So I really want, like, oh, like, we're bringing our Iron Bundle, we're bringing Alolan Raichu, we're bringing Pinkerton. Like, let's go. You know, this has to be like an Unburdened set. I can take a hit from this thing. Choice Band of Close Combat blows it backwards. Max HP, Ogerpon Cornerstone. Close Combat blows it backwards because of Mold Breaker. We break through it Sturdy. With our speed stat, we are outspeeding everything except for Hisui and Electrode. U-Turn is great for the pivot, so we do have 3 points of pivot and flip turn between Iron Bundle, between Ogerpon Hearthstone. Ogerpon Hearthstone, card game coming soon. Ogerpon Hearthflame and Hawlucha. And then Dual Stab on Hawlucha just goes really, really nice in my opinion. Brave Bird hitting the Iron Valiant. Close Combat hitting the Ogerpon. Any of our Dual Stab hitting Mandibuzz. Either of our Dual Stab hitting Alola Mola. Or Electrode or Hippowdon. Brave Bird hitting the Houndstone. Close Combat hitting the King Gambit. Brave Bird hitting the Iron Moth. And then our Dual Stab hitting Sand Slash. So we really do hit like a truck there. I certainly don't want to click Brave Bird too many times because that does put us in a situation where we're starting to get a little bit more chip than we'd like to. But that's kind of the game plan, is that I'd be shocked to find that he doesn't bring the Electrode. But if he doesn't bring the Electrode, I'm likely leading with Hawlucha and just hoping it's like a 1v1 Hawlucha versus Cornerstone matchup, and I can just put it down turn 1. So that's kind of the thoughts and hopes and dreams here. That's the team that we are bringing this week against Nexus. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm going to cut to team preview for the battle, and we'll be right back. Week 5, ladies and gentlemen, taking on Nexus and the Pittsburgh Pichus. Let's see what he is bringing. We see the Valiant. Okay, so we do see Sand. We see the Valiant. We don't see the Ogerpon, which is... I definitely thought that was going to show up, so I'm already feeling like the Hawlucha switch was a little eh. We see Mandibuzz instead of that. We do see the Asudon Electrode. We see the Hippowdon. We did call it right that there would be some sand shenanigans here. Love the idea. So because I don't see the Ogerpon right away, I don't want to lead with my Hawlucha there. I do just want to lead with Ogerpon. I don't see a fire resist on his team to just click Ivy Cudgel. I don't see those. Let's think about it. Electrode's probably a great lead for Nexus here. Definitely a Sandstream, Sand Rush on Hippowdon and Houndstone. We got to be careful about spinning away any hazards, but the other thing is that he King Gambit running rocks? Yeah. So, you know, he's got the rocker in Hip Out on there, which is fine. Once Hip Out on goes down, Raichu just goes really in. Yeah. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. I am excited. Let's see what he's got. Electrode's really the only one that is really the only Pokemon that can really threaten Ogerpon right out the gate. That we can't, that like, or no, and vice versa. Ogerpon's the only Pokemon that we can take a hit that can take a hit from it. So leads off with Homeboy, the Electrode, just as we thought. Okay. Again, I could also, so a Volt Switch could come off here. Ivy Cudgel is good damage. I can U-turn the next turn. I'm just clicking Ivy Cudgel. We're swinging. We're swinging. I'm swinging. I'm bonking. What is this music? What background music did I pick? There's the Volt Switch. Okay. Brings me down to 253. What? That did 16%. That is modest. Well, that could be a high roll on Timid. Goes out into Shroudum, which is the Mandibuzz. Big damage. All right. I will just U-turn here. Whatever this background music is, I feel like I'm in a European dance club right now. I am about it. I am about it. So we know Electrode is not choiced. Not choice specs, at least. I mean, if that's a Scarf Electrode to outpace some terrain shenanigans, you got me. But that's definitely not choice specs. That is either a very high roll on a Timid set, which, like, he could be. Could he run Modest and outspeed me? He cannot run Modest and outspeed Bundle. So it's got to be a Timid set, not choice specs, Timid. We also know that this is not. We also know that this is now not Rocky Helmet on Mandibuzz, which I definitely thought it might be here. I don't want to switch into Pinkerton right away. I feel like that is my play though, because I don't want to get knocked off. I want to keep Donphan sturdy and the boots intact here. Could just go for a U-turn. I'll go out into Bundle here. Let's see what he's got. Goes for Toxic. Okay. That is fine. Now, there's a big ice move that could come off here, and I don't see much in the means of an ice resist outside of King Gambit. So I'm going to toss off a Hydro Pump. This music has me so amped. I feel like I'm playing laser tag in the 90s right now. This is my jam. Whatever this is, withdraws. Okay, so a flip turn would have been good there. Goes on to Newgate, which is his King Gambit. Probably like an AV set, I almost want to imagine. And I miss! It's great. All right, only miss one. Only miss one, please. All right. Let's just flip turn. Let's flip turn. We'll show him we're not specs. Pokemon's doing 46 to 54. We are sitting at 82%. So we'll live in Adamant Sucker Punch from this range. There's no Supreme Overlord has been activated. Nothing along those lines. And I think what I can do is probably bring in like Donphan against this thing. And then following that, I might be able to switch out. All right. Probably just going for like a Kowtow or something. Where does Pinkerton sit on the... Curious where King Gambit... like Kowtow's only doing 32 to 38 to Hawlucha if we bring that in. does... I know there's a lot of... Yeah, King Gambit does not get knockoff. So let's go into... I'm going to go out to Hawlucha here. He doesn't get knockoff. We'll take about 32 to 38 from max attack Kowtow. Oh, ha. I said in all my prep. Let's see how much he does. It was on a 193. Is that a crit? 36%. No, that's not. That's just adamant. Okay. Now I'm very much in here right now. Ready to click moves. How much was I doing to Mandibuzz? Mandibuzz, I was doing 38 to 45 to a defensive set. I'm just clicking CC here. I forgot that the mold breaker shows up there. Ha! In all my prep, I was like, I'm going to trick him into thinking I'm unburdened on Hawlucha. I'm not, because it shows up there. All right, let's just close combat. Sucker Punch is doing 27 to 32 to us. We'll be able to live that. Post combat blows this thing backwards. He withdraws. Perfect. Going to Houndstone. Balloombo, which is the Hippowdon. We 2-hit KO non-defensive Hippowdon. I don't like that. That could have been a very big roll or a very low roll if he's max HP. What can he do to hit me, though? Like Stone Edge? I'm going to go for another one. Not the same roll. All right, that is max HP, max defense Hawlucha, or Hippowdon here. Slag off. Okay, he just slags it off. That's fine. All right. Let's go into... what do we want to go out into here? Probably go for like a rock move or something, right? I don't have the best switch in right now. He's slack off. Let's just go out into Pinkerton. Maybe he goes for like rocks here, knowing that he can take those close combats. He withdraws. Okay, perfect. So we would go out into Houndstone here. Operator, that's the Houndstone. All right. You are getting absolutely thunderwaved right here. You are not getting sand rush. We are not dealing with these sand rush shenanigans today. Not in any sense of the word. What can you be? You can be Ghost Fairy or Fighting. Yeah, we take a lot from like a choice banded Houndstone here. Assuming it is a choice set. Yeah, I'm thunder waving this so I don't have to deal with the speed. Let's see what it goes for. We haven't seen anything from this thing. We haven't seen anything from the Iron Valiant. Does the... Houndstone does get some disruption and more. Oh, he switches. Okay. Goes back out to King Gambit. Oh, okay. All right, we get a Thunder Wave off on King Gambit, which is nice. Good news is that he's scared of this thing here. He is scared of this thing here. So, if we go for a Kowtow, I don't want him to be defiant. I don't want him to be defiant. And I go for a Memento here. Because I want to keep my stuff around. I want to keep that around. Let's go out to Donphan. Donphan's here to handle this thing. If we get lucky, we get a full para. Kowtow's only doing 26 to 31 to Donphan. There's a Kowtow. Okay. 28. Okay, and I don't think that was 5 turns of sand either. I'm going to make the hard switch into a Alolan Raichu here. I feel like Mandibuzz is a great play for him. If he stays in Kowtow's, like, and just said, to hell with it, he withdraws as well. Okay, perfect. All right. Thunderbolt takes this thing out from here. I'm going to go on ahead and Terrasilize. And just go for a Thunderbolt. If he goes into Hippowdon, I've got the Grass Knot for it. We've got some damage off on it ahead of time, so I might not even need to go for a Nasty Plot right here. I'm just going to attack what's in front of me. I'm in no threat of speed until Valiant or Electrode come in. I'm going to go on ahead and get the Terra off, so that way I resist any dark moves on the switch. I resist Sucker Punches. I'm neutral to Earthquakes if Houndstone, or excuse me, Hippowdon wants to go for it. I do have to worry about, like, Iron Heads from King Gambit at that point. But King Gambit's paralyzed right now, so we're doing okay. And he's in danger if he lets me set up right now, so he might, like, Toxic me to put me on a timer and let this go down. We'll see. I think he would have switched. I think he would have switched here. So I think we just put this thing down. Max special defense Mandibuzz 72 to 85. All right. Mandibuzz is down. Perfect. Hazards are here to stay if we can get them up. Week 5. Raichu KOs Mandibuzz with T-Bolt. Yeah, I don't think he could have let me stay in there. I don't think he could have afforded to let me set up there. I would have made the same play. I would have made the same play. So now if we can get a spike up with Pinkerchin, if we can get a spike up with Ogerpon, something along those lines, we're looking a lot better. King Gambit's paralyzed. We still do have, I think Terrain is still up. Valiant Electrode outspeed us. If Terrain is not up. I don't see all the mystical whooshing on the floorboards here. Goes on to Homeboy. That is the Hisuian Electrode. Okay. You know, honestly, I don't think he 2-hit KOs Ogerpon with anything on here. I'm going to switch out. I'm going to preserve this. If he's like Terra Ice Electrode, it goes for a Terra Blast. That has a very small chance to knock us out from the range that we're at. Just goes for Thunderbolt. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go for a Spike here. I'm going to go for a Spike here. I'm at 65%. Goes for Volt Switch. Okay. All right. I am sitting right at keen at 50% here. So no Mandibuzz means I get a Spike up. That's going to dig in a Hippo. That's going to dig in a Hound, Gambit, Electrode if it keeps switching around, if it's not Boots. Valiant as well. And he's got to think, like, what takes an Ivy Cudgel at this point, right? Now, King Gambit, we do need to remember, does, if it is the Supreme Overlord, which you'll see it on the switch in, we will see if it will get that. I think it's like a 20% boost for every fallen comrade, which is disgusting, by the way. King Gambit's busted. I'm raging to this music right now. Glitch Energy also has me pumped up. Use code CBAD. Hashtag ad. All right. Goes on to Ibo. Okay, that's going to be the Iron Valiant. Ivy Cudgel on a crit did numbers to this thing. I just want to point that out here. I just really want to point that out here that Ivy Cudgel was doing work to this thing. Okay. Here's the thing. I have no idea what this thing wants to do. I have zero idea what this thing wants to do, okay? I am simply going to Ivy Cudgel and sack this. This is a similar situation. Goes for Aura Sphere. All right. Valiant KOs Ogre with Aura Sphere. Okay. If that was like timid, did that kill us? A very high roll if it was timid. Halucha outspeeds this. I'm going to go on a Halucha here. We've seen Aura Sphere, which is good to know. So it's likely very special. So I'm going to U-turn. I'm going to U-turn here. We outspeed this thing naturally. 118 versus 116. I think that might be either modest or choice in some fashion. It's always weird with those rolls, right? Like it's either a high roll on one end or a low roll on the other. Yeah, he withdraws. So we're going to get some good momentum off here. Figure out what he wants to bring in. Goes out in a Balloon Bow. He's going to take spikes damage. Does he take spikes damage, actually? Dance stream goes up. He did not. So that's boots on. That's boots on Hippo. Okay, good to know. My balloon is still intact on Pinkerchin. So I could go for another spike here. Let's go out to Pinkerchin. Let's spike. We can get some surfs off on this thing as well. We've only seen slack off. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go for another spike here. Just to be able to help out with the Valiant. He gets sets up his own rocks. Okay, we still have spin on ours, which is fine. I'm going to get the spikes up for, like I said, for the Gambit, the Houndstone, all those guys. Now, I've got, what, 3 turns of terrain here? I don't want to, like, Memento right now. Let's go for a serve. Let's get some damage. He can slack off. He withdraws. Okay. We're going to get some chip on something. Here comes Ibo. Ibo's going to take the spikes damage. We are going to get some surf damage off. There's a Quark Drive. Okay, so that's boosting its what? Its speed. Okay. We'll get some beautiful damage off there. And now we know this thing is especially offensive. So we can keep up pressure. We need our terrain. We need our terrain. I'm going to go on a Donphan. I'm keeping this thing. I'm keeping its air balloon. I'm going on a Donphan. I think the rocks aren't the worst case scenario here, since we do outspeed a lot of his team. There's the Moonblast. Okay. Moonblast crit. Okay, that is fine. Valiant KOs Ogerpon with Aura Sphere. Valiant KOs Donphan with Moonblast. Okay. Raichu is our best play here. All right, Psyshock's doing the most here. Thunderbolt's pretty free, actually. I think Thunderbolt's the best ground. I think Thunderbolt's the best play. If he switches out into Hippo, I can go for a Grass Knot afterwards. Because if I Psyshock this thing, I don't know if he'd like sack King Gambit for whatever reason. You know, I can go for a Thunderbolt to hit that, right? I can hit this. If Hippo's the switch, you know, the The Grass Knot would be a fine play. I can Grass Knot it, afterwards. It's obviously not going to take any damage from the spikes, but we do know that it is pretty physically defensive. So a Grass Knot unboosted would be able to knock it out. Let's see what he's got. This thing's pretty low. He withdraws. Okay. Goes out into the King Gambit. That's why I didn't want to go for the Side Shock here. I want this thing to take the spikes. I want it to take its Terrain Boost Thunderbolt. It does have the Supreme Overlord. Oh, is that AV? Woof. That did nothing. Okay. Okay, that did nothing. Still only has one ally fainted. Where am I at? 229? Woof. Okay. Yeah, that did nothing. Oh, boy. We know I need Pancake Man around for... I need Raichu around. Is Bundle the sack here? I think Bundle's the sack here. I hope that there's a full para. I hope that we live. I hope that he goes for Sucker. But I think Bundle is the sack here. We're going to take a 25% from Rocks. He withdraws. Wow. Goes out into Aibo. Okay. I am faster than this thing. Let me see. The Vacuum Wave is really what I was expecting here. So, Iron Valiant. We are sitting right at 130. We're sitting at 51. Vacuum Wave from Choice Specs does 44 to 52. I am just... Flip Turn's doing 17 to 21. I'm just going to Freeze Dry here. If he's Specs, there's a very high chance. Shadow Sneak over the Vacuum Wave. Okay. All right, Valiant's down. Bundle KO's Valiant. With Freeze Dry. Okay. Definitely thought Vacuum Wave is coming, but that's fine. Valiant's gone. 4v4. Electrode absolutely comes in right now. The only thing I can do, where am I at? I gotta see where I'm at health wise, because if I can't come in on rocks again, this thing just goes down. Goes out in a Homeboy, which is gonna be that Electrode. Okay. It does take spikes damage. Okay. I'm at 25% on the board. Boy, where does that 253? Yeah, okay. That's okay. I will die the next time I come in. Okay. In some weird world where he switches out or does something or doesn't KO me, I'm gonna click Hydro Pump here. Here's a Volt Switch. Electrode. KOs. Bundle. Volt Switch. Okay. I pretty much keep Hawlucha around now for the King Gambit. I've got Raichu, I've got Bandit Hawlucha, and I've got Pinkerton. I need to keep Raichu around to outspeed the King Gambit. King Gambit AV is nutty, by the way. Love that. Hippo probably comes in. Bloombo. Because otherwise he's just sending in King Gambit to get... what's it called? Spikes damage. This is going to be close. I still stand by with as much switching has gone on. I still think this was the appropriate play. Okay. Now, if I go into Pinkerton and Memento, if he's +2, let's go Pinkerton here. All right. If I Memento here, hold on, let's think about this. If I Memento here, I no longer have any form of terrain. Do I go for a surf here? So I have 5 turns. I'll have 4 turns of terrain after this. So I would Memento here. Turn 4, I would Nasty Plot with Raichu. And hopefully he doesn't like switch into King Gambit here. It's kind of the thing. Do I just hard into Alolan Raichu right here as he like slacks off? Let's surf. He stays in. Okay, so we'll get some damage here. Whirlwind. Okay. All right, we didn't switch out unnecessarily there. That's another thing I was worried about, was being phased around. Brings out Hawlucha. That's pretty good, actually. Does Banded U-turn knock you out? Would you just sack this? Probably. The Powdon, physically defensive. U-turn 13 to 16. I'm going to make that play. All right, Hawlucha KOs. KOs Hippo with U-turn. Okay. This does get me back into Pinkerton, which is nice. Because I can possibly Memento. That's what I'm thinking. Pinkerton sitting right at... Where are we at? We're sitting at 39%. We're still taking hits from Houndstone. Here comes Operator, which is that Houndstone. Okay. I don't know what you hit me with. I don't know what you hit me with. Then it's going to come down to Electrode. I need to keep this around. How many turns of terrain do I have? I have 2 turns left of terrain. Okay. Let's swap in Raichu here. Here's the Terra. It is Fairy. Okay. Poltergeist. That destroyed me. Okay. Oh yeah. That always destroyed me. Wow. Okay. I didn't. That's poor planning on my part. He's Life Orb. Okay. So, yeah, that's game. Houndstone wins this. Houndstone KOs Raichu with Poltergeist. I'm trying to think about how I could have went about this a little bit better. Yeah, no, I've got nothing. This is well played on Nexus' part. He positioned himself pretty nicely. You know, I think between the Houndstone and everything else, I don't see an area where you know, I think he just played better than us, you know. Houndstone KOs Pinkerton with Poltergeist. Does Sand go away anytime soon? Can I start Brave Burden? Oh, I can. Perfect. Okay. Maybe I do. Maybe I do finish out a little bit closer than a 3-0 here. Life Orb Shadow Sneak's gonna knock me out. Right? Is that where we're at? Yep, there it is. All right. All right, Houndstone KOs Alucha with Sneak. All right, that is going to be a 3-0 loss to Nexus and the Pittsburgh Pichus. Like I said, I really don't see an area where, you know, if I had to hone back on it there, I feel like we brought an appropriate team for everything. Maybe less spikes and more attacking from Ogerpon, maybe Ivy cudgeling a bit more, you know, maybe to like knock out the Valiant on that switch just to you know, just to not as taken as much damage as we did. So like Donphan would be around, you know, the Ogerpon might still be around as well if we would have got a specific role with the Ivy cudgel. So that's really the only thing I can say that I can think of. You know, of course the comment section hindsight is 2020, so of course I'm sure I'll be reading some thoughts as to how that could have been better played. But no, great prep on Nexus's part. Like I said in the team builder, definitely the sand was a thing there. AV King Gambit was a great bring to help out against Raichu. Overall, I think it was a really solid matchup. GG's to Nexus. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, leave a like. If you're new, subscribe so you don't miss out. Yeah, I'll see you guys next week for our week 6 battle. Be great, do great. I'll see you on the next video. Later.